Renewing our past, seizing our future. The slogan for our congregation's upcoming capital improvement stewardship campaign. As we recall Trinity's historic legacy over the years in lifting high the cross, as we recall how God has blessed our predecessors' efforts to fulfill the Great Commission to preach the gospel to every creature, as we recall the bold steps forward in faith that Trinity has embarked on time and time again in erecting adequate churches and schools, as we recall the legions of God's people who have worshiped and partaken of the sacraments in our divine services, as we recall the thousands of students who received a solid confessional Christian education in Trinity School, as we recall all of these things, we can only be moved to renew our past. As we renew our past, we realize how our predecessors planned, worked, and sacrificed for the future, which we now have inherited. So too can we, all of us together, as one united congregation, plan for the years to come, as we commit ourselves to ensure that future generations of Trinitarians will lift high the cross. We implore God's blessings and pray for divine guidance, as we will also boldly step out and seize our future.
Yogi Berra, the famous catcher for the New York Yankees, is famous for his quips, such as, "It's not over till it's over." He also said on one occasion, "The future isn't what it used to be." It's funny because it's obviously true. And it is certainly true for us too as well. Trinity's future and mission of years ago is now part of our history. It is also true that God leads us into the future. We have experienced many joys and changes in our education and parish hall, and certainly will in the future as a part of the mission of this congregation.
While renewing our past, let us take a short look back. In September of 1841, Reverend Francis Springer led our congregation in its first worship service in his home, which is directly across the street from the house of his friend Abraham Lincoln. A few years thereafter, we purchased this two-story church from the Presbyterians, and it was during this era that the congregation amicably split along linguistic lines. The English faction became Grace Lutheran, and the German-speaking contingent became Trinity Lutheran. This building was razed in 1860 and replaced by this church of the three steeples. However, it had several serious disadvantages, including the fact that the busy Chicago and Alton Railroad ran right past its entrance. When Concordia Seminary came to Springfield, this church building proved too small, and in 1889 the cornerstone was laid for the present church building at 2nd and Monroe. In addition, for many years, divine services have been held at the school's location utilizing the gym and the parish room under the gym. And now, with our newest addition, many Trinitarians worship in the modern accommodations of the new parish hall. Trinity's Christian Day School has its genesis in February 1860, when Pastor Theodore Hushman began teaching classes. A home on the north side of Jefferson between 1st and 2nd Streets was purchased, used as a school for many years, and replaced with a substantial building. 17 years after the church was built in 1906, this Trinity School was erected and stood where the church's parking lot is today. Before World War I, many members labored in the northeast of Springfield, and Trinity provided classes for their offspring at Concordia Seminary. But in 1916, Trinity built the large Emmanuel School on East Matheny. 10 years later, Trinity gave this building to a contingent of members to form a manual congregation. But the school behind the church had severe space limitations. And in 1953, the cornerstone of a futuristic, modern school was put into place. The school was state-of-the-art with the largest elementary gym in Springfield and a large modern cafeteria. With God's blessings, this excellent school was paid for in less than 3 years. But as the turn of the 21st century approached, it became clear that Trinity's future required expanded facilities. And an ambitious building program was embarked on as our congregation, looking to the future, stepped forward boldly in faith. On Reformation Day 2000, the cornerstone was put into place, and our congregation's 160th anniversary in September 2001, this wonderful new facility was dedicated. New classrooms included a music room, a computer room, and a science room. New pastoral and school offices were also provided. The congregation desperately needed a new parish hall to replace the cramped quarters in the basement under the gym. This large, wonderful addition, with a modern kitchen and expansive stage, fulfills the need. Further, Trinity members looking to the future incorporated ample space for an early learning center.
Here at the Learning Center, our mission is to share the gospel of Christ with the children here and the families, and we are blessed because we see this every single day. Not only are we sharing the gospel with children, some that have maybe never been to church before, but we're actually seeing them go home and share this with their families, and it's truly a blessing to be able to see this happen every day.
Down through the years, Trinity members planned for the future. They purchased the defunct Illinois State University property so Concordia Seminary could move to Springfield. The seminary and Trinity enjoyed a mutually beneficial relationship for almost a century. Under the leadership of our Pastor Lukey, Trinity began the Springfield Hospital and Training School, which today is the Mammoth Memorial Medical Center. In the late 1940s, members led the way in bringing Camp Silka into a viable entity in the central Illinois Lutheran community. Trinity was a charter member of the Lutheran High School Association, and concerned Trinity members played key roles in developing Concordia Village Retirement Center. As with any of Trinity's capital improvements and planning for the future, a solid base of commitment by our members is critical to the success of our mission. Here to give a short summary of the financial picture of where we are in paying off our wonderful new addition is our congregation's president, Mr. Rick Koopman.
Trinity currently has a monthly mortgage payment of $17,500. While our ultimate goal is to raise $2.1 million to pay off our loan, we need at least $630,000 to meet our payments over the next 3 years. Any amount beyond this will be used to pay down on the principal balance. Currently, 53% of our monthly mortgage payment goes to pay our interest fees. Our last fund drive saw 158 members pledge $755,000. We once again are asking for your support. Please prayerfully consider how the Lord has blessed you and your family and how you can help. No pledge amount is too small.
Renewing our past, seizing our future. Our congregation's challenge for the future. It may sound like a flippant cliche, but we can express our goal. With God's help, we did it before. With God's help, we can do it again. And that is what renewing our past, seizing our future is all about.
You know, none of us as individuals know what the future has in store for us, and that's true of a congregation too. We have no way of knowing what God has in store. But we read in Jeremiah chapter 29 verse 11, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future." What a comforting thought that is for Trinity, and a promise from God as we seize the future.